Hi everyone, so today we are doing a Zambian Independence inspiration or flag inspiration pedicure. So first things first is to start with a clean and bare nail surface. So for that I'll just be using a regular nail polish remover to remove the previously applied nail polish. Then next after this I'll be going in for a second wipe with nail polish remover just to make sure that any residual nail polish is removed. All my toenails except my big toes have regular nail polish on them. My big toes have gel polish on them, so I'll be soaking them with a saturated piece of cotton or saturated with nail polish remover and held in place with nail pegs. The soaking process of gel polish is quite long. It's very long, which makes it annoying sometimes, but you just have to be patient in it. The duration is about 15 to 30 minutes, also depending on the thickness of the gel polish you're using. So I would say to check and scrape between specific time intervals to make the process a bit easier and quicker. The idea is for the nail polish remover to soak the gel polish long enough to dissolve it so that it is easily scraped off, or for it to flake off easily without being scraped off at all. So the soaking process is done onto the filing step. My filing process consists of filing the side walls of the nails, the free edge and the corners, rounding out the corners of the free edge, and I do that for all the nails. Next is the pushing back of cuticles. Bearing in mind that this is a dry pedicure, I'm only going to push back my cuticles far back as not to injure myself or damage the skin around my nail, but gentle enough to scrape off any cuticles or dead skin creeping on my nails. Done. The next, sanitizing with methylated spirit. I noticed that the index toenail had a crack, so I'll be sealing it using regular nail glue, firstly putting it in between the crack, allowing it to dry, and then on top of the crack and allowing that to dry and just wiping off any bleeding glue. So next is the buffing process. So I'll be using my trusty but very old buffing block to buff my nails, and only use the smoothening side to buff only the free edge and corners of the free edge of my nails. I might use the conditioning side sparingly. This process helps to prevent any possible chances of cracking and breaking of the nails. For some reason, the sanitizing step makes the cuticles a little more visible, which is why I'm pushing them back again. And if there'll be any excess skin showing, I'll be trimming those with nail trimmers. But if you don't encounter what I've encountered, then you can just skip this step. Just remember to mention that if you're going to place a pillow underneath your feet to raise them up, please don't forget to put a cloth underneath your feet and on top of the pillow so that you don't create a big mess for yourself. I, on the other hand, did create one big mess for myself after this whole process. So for the first best coat, I'll be using a colorless nail strengthener, which is by Ruby Kisses, and it's their garlic nail strengthener, and I'm only going to apply a thin layer of this nail strengthener and allow it to dry completely before applying any gel polish on my nails. So once that has completely dried, I'll be applying a second base coat of actual gel polish this time around, and I'm using a MAGK base coat gel polish. So one thing I've realized with gel polishes is always to apply them in thin layers so that the finish is smooth and so that it cures properly without any lumps and bumps. So I do that for all the toenails, and I only apply one coat. Also, one thing to remember with gel polishes is always to try and apply them close to the eponychium. So the eponychium is just an extended lip of the proximal nail fold or an extended lip of the skin around your nails. You don't need to tilt your foot as I was doing. I just felt it was essential for me to do that. After curing, wipe off the inhibition of sticky layer using a cotton-free wipe that is soaked with nail polish remover. Following the inspiration of this video, which is the theme of the Zambian flag, the main color on the flag is a green, and I'll be painting the green all over my big toes. So this is a potted gel polish, and it is thicker than your regular nail polish or bottled nail polish. So for this type of gel polish, I'm dabbing a small amount on the surface of the gel polish as opposed to digging or dipping, and after that cleaning the eponychium area to make sure that there are no chances of the polish lifting. Then going on to my second coat, again keeping in mind thin layers with gel polishes and curing in between. So for this theme, I was comfortable with 2 coats of the gel polish because that was the desired opacity of the gel polish I wanted, and I was making sure to cover up as much as possible the areas around my nail and as close as possible to the skin without touching it. Okay, so moving on to what I would say the artistic side. So using this thin or skinny brush, just wetting it like the previous one with nail polish remover, I'll be using this for the next detailed part of the flag on my nail. So using the red, trying to remove as much as possible, I'll be going in from the bottom and almost halfway of the nail. I'll draw a thin line down to the center of the nail. Then wipe that off and dip into the black color. Scrape off the excess as much as possible to achieve a thin line. And do the exact thing as the first line, which is trying to draw a very thin line down the nail. So my line didn't come out really thin, so I used a brush, dipped it in nail polish remover and just tried to thin it out, but still maintaining level of straightness. Then next, the orange color, again wiping off or scraping off the excess and drawing a line. But this time around, after drawing the line, then draw a line across the nail towards the side of the nail, and do the same for the black color, but only up to the orange line. And the same for the red color, but always remembering to wipe the brush in between the next color being used or to be used. And then next, using the short pointy brush, I was pulling in or smudging in the black color from the top part of the black section down into the space there. But before that, just make sure that the line or the box is completely straight by cleaning with nail polish remover. I realized that the orange line across wasn't that straight, so I went in to redraw it. Before filling up the partition sections of the colors, just flash cure that for about 10 seconds just to hold it in place so that mistakes are put at their most minimal. Then continue from there with the filling in according to the colors. While I was filling up the partition sections of the flag on my nail, I was bearing in mind the end point of the green gel polish smile line and trying by all means not to go beyond it. Again, the whole point is to prevent any possible point of lifting. That's why I kept on wiping the eponychium area to make sure there's a tiny space between the polish and the skin. Okay, so moving on to the rest of the toes. To be honest, at the beginning I didn't have any idea of how I was going to paint the rest of the toenails, so I figured I should do random colors on all of them and not the same color theme. So I started first by drawing thin straight lines down each nail using different colors to go with the theme of having different colorful patterns or themes of polish on my nails. So on the first one I went with a red stroke, the second one was a green stroke, the third one an orange stroke, and the last one a black stroke. So for each half I combined two different colors together. Even at this stage I was still bearing in mind trying by all means to keep the gel polish away from the skin around the nails, and also dabbing a small amount at a time and gradually increasing from that after each cure until the desired opacity of the gel polish was achieved. Another thing I forgot to mention was after painting each nail, I flash cured it for 5 seconds to hold it in place and prevent any possible forms of smudging and making of mistakes. And of course, not forgetting to clean up the eponychium area and areas around the nail to make sure that any spillouts, bleeding or smudging are cleaned up. At this point, I would say just play with the colors, choose whatever inspires you or whatever you feel like doing, and even something that's daring or crazy, just try it out and see what you'll come out with. And also for the small toenails, just like the bigger ones, I applied the second coat of the gel polish after curing them, of course, for 30 seconds. Okay, so this is the finished look after curing and wiping off the inhibition layer. So next is the ego. Of course, we can't forget the symbol of freedom in Zambia and the ability to rise above our problems. It wouldn't be a Zambian flag without the ego. Everything was first shot. Start with black slanty lines, then second lines which are wavy, which represent the wings. Then from there I was trying to figure out how to draw a bird-like image on the nail. The idea of my ego for this particular nail art design was a black outline, and because the ego on the Zambian flag is brown, so I'm going to fill it up with a brown color. And because I didn't have a brown color, I mixed the black and orange gel polish together until I reached the desired brown color for my ego. And then just to hold the outline in place and prevent any smudging, I flash cured it for 10 seconds. And for the legs of the ego, I opted to go for the same brown color. After the curing process, I wiped off the inhibition layer again with a cotton-free wipe. And finally, to top coat and seal my nails, I used the base coat actually as a top coat because the top coat I have is a mattifying one and this one gives more of a shinier look. So still remembering to apply the gel polish in thin coats and building on that after curing each layer. In my case, I went for 2 layers of the top coat but cured in between each layer. 2 layers just to make sure that the design is well protected. So this is the finished look of the whole idea of the Zambian Independence inspired nails or Zambian flag inspired nails. The big toes carrying or having the Zambian national flag and the small toes carrying the colors of the national flag. And bringing this up close just a little bit just to pay attention to the detail and get a better view of what the pattern looks like. And this is what the pattern looks like. And this looks cool. The only problem is that I wish I got this done on the actual day of independence. Okay, so initially I wanted to go for one color for all these stores, or one color theme for all these stores. So if I was going to do this one, I was going to do it everywhere. If I was going to choose this one, I was going to do it everywhere, and so on and so forth. But I actually like this color combo. At first I thought it was a little too loud, a little too crazy, and had a lot going on, but I like it. I mean, it's an independence inspiration, so it can be loud and crazy and wild, and that's fine. I really like it. It's so cool. We have finally come to the end of the video, but please check out the final review results of what the nail art design looks like in actual slippers.